Hey, what's up, YouTube? So, I thought I'd bring you guys up to date on where we are. We are now in Congress, Arizona, and we're traveling with a group of nomads, some really awesome people. But as we gathered up, we all congregated at the Wal-Mart parking lot and caravan down here. And it was pretty shocking, tragic, unnerving when Shelley drove the pickup down from Sedona and we decided to do the hookup at Walmart. So we hooked up, we were checking the tail lights and the emergency flashers, and when I put the emergency flashers on, smoke started coming out of the turn signal pendant and smoke started coming out of the side over here, and I'd had no idea what the heck was going on. So I turned everything off. It was a bit of a panic to get to that point, but turned the key off, and then of course the smoke, even if the wires aren't hot anymore, the smoke's still coming, so you think it's still coming. So anyhow, long story short, we got to the back end of the bus and turned off the main power switch. I went outside to the side panel, electrical side panel out there, and I wanted to open it up to see where the smoke was coming from. Well, the latch on that thing has never worked. But I always had my pocket knife, so I would just push that button, pop it open, and get right in there. Well, my pocket knife was in my other pants that day. After we got everything shut off, I called my Chuck, our bus mechanic, who's super grateful for you, Chuck. Thanks for always being there for me. Chuck says, "What's going on?" I tell him the story, and he goes, "Well, it's not ideal, but if you can re-energize it and see where the smoke is coming from, you might be able to diagnose the problem that way." Again, he said, "That's not ideal, but in your situation, there's not really much else you can do." So we tipped out the breaker panel, and I'm happy. So it was great to have the other guys we're traveling with there to help me, because we positioned people around and had Shelley back at the main battery shut off, and basically we turned stuff on, and then we could instantly see the spot where it was shorting out. Identified where it was shorting out, unplugged that, and it went to 2 fan switches that were not hooked up to anything. So that was mystery number 1, because it was very obviously, it was a live spark smoke short, you know. So I unplugged that. I changed the relay on the turn signal. I thought maybe the relay was the problem on the turn signal. After the whole event was said and done, then pulled out the shorted wires and the switches, changed the relay, the blinkers worked, the flashers worked, everything worked again, and nothing was smoking. So we left from Cottonwood and drove on down here with no problems for the day. Once we got here, then I sent a call for help out to Aaron, who helped me with my solar stuff. He's an electrical whiz, genius. Bobby, he has a lot of electronic knowledge too. Another guy, Carlos, who's traveling with us, he has a lot of knowledge, but he wasn't with us. I was like, "Carlos, where are you at when I need you?" But anyways, the consensus from Aaron and from Bobby was go in and remove all the other switches that aren't being used, that are not necessary to the bus operation. When the whole incident was done, the light switch on the water pump, you know, the switch that comes on at nighttime when it's dark, that light was now all of a sudden it was on. So there's the water pump switch. After the incident was over, the little light in here, it was on all the time. You could still turn the switch off and on, but that light was on all the time. So, you know, I hit Chuck, my bus mechanic, I hit him with that one, and he's like, you know, when something electrical like that happens, we don't know what happened through all the circuits. So I started going through the circuits one by one, and what I basically found was that these circuits, all these switches were all interconnected. And all these other switches are stuff that had been disconnected. The interior lights, yeah, these are both interior lights, the water pump, and the heater for the bus fan that was in the back of the bus, all that had been wrecked out. And the wires coming to the panel had been unplugged at the source and removed. So that's what happened with that bunch. This is the other short that I found. And it only went to these two switches, which were for the fans that are up on the windshield. And I mean, it was cooked. I removed that, but it wasn't connected to this in any way, unless in the circuit board it was connected through the other route, which I'm no electric whiz at all. What I know at this point is that those ones shorted. I identified them and removed them. And then it was suggested that I remove every other switch that wasn't necessary to the bus operation. That's what all these are. I mean, they didn't, this was a dimmer for the interior lights. So I went through and removed all of that. Now, I had an idea. I was fairly confident that I knew a relay was to take the load of a switch coming off and on all the time. When I changed the relay to the blinker, did that solve that problem? Or when the short event happened and then we turned the power off, did the wires melt in two, and when it came back on, that short wasn't there anymore? I don't know, but the contacts all look clean. I mean, I think these were both still good. I wonder if a wire could have broken this one that's discolored, or Bobby suggested maybe that one got used a lot and had a heavy load and this one didn't. I don't know. That's the rest of what I pulled out of the panel over here. Now I come to this point in time. The only thing I got left over here, so you guys can now see, that's everything I tore out once I got here. The only things I have left are this light indicator and this door switch, and I don't know what this was. This switch here, the door one, it alarms if you have it on. It alarms before you start the bus, saying that the door is open. So I'm going to do the same thing with this that I've done with all the other ones. I'm going to get the bus up and going, turn it off, unplug this, turn the bus back on, and make sure it still starts up. The only thing I ran into when I removed all these other switches was that the last thing I did, then the defroster fans didn't work. So I just went back to the two relays that I pulled, put them back in, and then the fans came back on. So that's what I'm doing today, is see if I can go ahead and get the rest of these removed and the bus still operates fine. What can I tell you about this process, people? I don't like it. I asked for help. I overcome the male urge to try to know everything, and I'm those people, I'm ready to ask for help. I'm like, hey, can you guys help me? So today, was really awesome too, because Bobby was here when I did all this, and he did help me. Even if nothing else, people, if you can be there for somebody else and just be moral support for them, it's really helpful. So I'm just going to continue on and try to get through this today. We'll see what happens. Okay, guys, so this is the access door to my fuse panel. And when the smoke was happening, that's the switch that did not work. And I've taken care of that problem. All it needed was to be sanded down a little bit so that it had clearance room. But in retrospect, I would say to you, you really want to make sure you have easy access to this, because in the worst case scenario, I would have needed to get the fire extinguisher in here. And wow, I can't imagine having to rewire all this. So that problem is fixed. I just got to get these guys out, see what the story is there. So that's what I'm working on now. Another caveat of this experience is, even if I would have got this door open, all I would have seen was smoke coming out of here because nothing showed on the front. And none of these fuses popped. Like I said, I think the most important thing I've learned is if I need to get this door open, to just shoot the fire extinguisher in there. And, you know, how do you turn off the main battery power, which fortunately I have a switch for that. I think I've already said this. All I could have done here was squirt it with the fire extinguisher, because until you remove these bolts, you can't see the back of this or get to the back of it. And that's where all the shorts were happening, was back there, where it was visible to see the shorts happening. So if you think this looks like a mess now, you should have seen it before. 50% of it's been removed already. So every time you start the bus, you get to go through that process right there, which is the air brakes coming up. So it's a warning buzzer for the air brakes. So I really like the warning buzzer for the air brakes. I was just trying to determine whether or not it was tied into the buzzer that goes off when the door is open. So now I looked in the box on the panel out here, and from the door open switch, there's some wires that go over to a siren on the back side here. The siren that you just heard was up here in the dash. So if I turn the bus off, but now if I flip this door switch here, that's what I needed to know, that it's this buzzer back over here. So that's telling you, hey, the door's open, don't drive. Even though that switch has been disconnected from the door. So that explains where those wires were going out there. And I think I can safely go remove those. Before I touch any wires in there, I go back and I turn off the main battery connect. So I'm gonna go turn off the main battery connect, and then I'm gonna go trace out that door switch, try to remove it without damaging anything, make sure the bus starts, because I don't fully understand if there is a lockout for the ignition switch. So I'll just remove it, come in and see if the bus still starts, and move forward from there. Okay guys, I went back and I turned off the main power switch. Now you see nothing's happening there. So I'm gonna go out and see if I can just unplug all that stuff. I got the wire all unplugged. I got the buzzer unplugged at the back. These were plugged up to the buzzer. The red one goes around the front to a power source for the buzzer. And just, if I could get this, there's these little clips on there, and you just push them down and lets that come out. So I haven't damaged anything, and if I had to, for the bus to run, I could plug all this back in. So that's kind of been my approach, and there's a key on this so you can't plug it in the wrong way. So from a novice point of view, I've kind of been trying to not close any doors when I undid this stuff. Now I'll go see if the bus still starts. Okay guys, let's do it again. See if she's gonna go. That's always a good sign through the startup cycle. Here we go. Sweet! So that pretty much means that we didn't affect anything with that circuit. Okay guys, I've elicited camp help. This is Carlos. He's an electronics whiz. This is Doug. He's emotional support right here. We found another circuit that's been fried in here, and it's literally, it's fused in there, and yeah, the plastic connector's just falling apart in front of us. So we got to get that sucker out.
None of this is going anywhere. Where's this one coming from?
That's just an empty plug.
Back here?
It comes back to that, yeah. It just
Oh.
got, oh, it's to the ground,
to
look.
the ground, yeah.
To the ground, look.
Right.
Ah, I like to get him out of there, Carlos, but I hear you.
Yeah. Look at that. Holy moly. So, you know, if it wasn't doing anything, then take this ground off and just pull everything out. Just something else that you don't have to in the way to troubleshoot things. I hate abandoned wires that are in the way because you don't know. Well, yeah, you don't know what's happening there. Just get them out.
So that's out.
Okay.
Look at that.
Oh no, yeah, that was
Definitely.
that was a short.
That's definitely fried.
Okay.
We got to see if it still works now.
What?
The bus.
Oh, well, it's got to. It wasn't connected to it.
The consensus is go start it up. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
look,
that's
that's
good.
what came out of there, guys. It was completely shorted in there. So obviously that wasn't doing nothing. I'm going to go give it the start just to double check it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I got this all put together. So there's my inline fuse. There's the connector to the battery terminal. I put this protective wrapper stuff on it, whatever it's called. I'm just going to anchor it here at the end so it doesn't try to come out on me while I'm pulling it through. And go pull this guy into place. Good morning, YouTube. It's a new day today. Holy cow. It's a little overcast outside. But by the end of the day yesterday, when I had finished removing all of the unnecessary circuits from those fuse panels, I was a little frustrated because I found even more of them that were shorted and fused in place. This was the interconnected set of switches that went to the water pump switch. I don't know what this one went to, but holy smokes. When that thing was plugged in, you couldn't even hardly tell there was an issue there. When you look closer, you could see the discoloration around this plug-in, but the melting doesn't come up to the top, so it's hard to see from the surface. But anyways, that was the last one I found yesterday, and then, yeah, that one's still good, but it was connected to this one that shorted. And here's the one that shorted when we were at Walmart. So here's a couple of other ones that I took out and more stuff in the bucket. So basically I'm saving all these parts because I don't know, ultimately at this point, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't want to come back and go, oh crud, if I would have saved that plug-in off of such and such, I could have put it in here and rehooked the wires or something like that. So I'm going to save all these parts until this is completely resolved and we're comfortable with what's going on. That's my plan at this point. So here's the upside, guys. I basically have this panel all cleared out over here. Doesn't that look handy? So the end of the story for the whole wiring situation is I'm not comfortable with those damaged fuse boards in there. I'm not positive right now if they were all three damaged or just the one in the center, but I decided, I put in a call to Tony at AAA Bus, and we're going to go ahead and head on down towards Quartzsite, and then when he has some time available, we'll run the bus up, and he thinks he probably has some of these boards that he's torn out and in stock. So that's the route I'm going to choose to go. And the bonus side to it is that while we're there, he's going to also check the engine, because we feel like we should be able to go uphill a little faster than we are. But if he can do anything about that, that'll just be a bonus. And yeah, so that's where I'm going to end this. Hope you guys got some tips in here about maybe some way you could keep yourself from having problems. I'm not an expert by any means, so use any info at your own discretion. But mostly I just hope you have lots of love and joy and friends to share it with. So until next time, we'll catch you then. Wow, what do you think of that sunset?
That's amazing. I am always amazed at the sunsets that we have out here. It's like unbelievable, you guys.
It's Arizona,
It's Arizona, you gotta love it, right?
famous for sunsets.
Just seeing the rays coming up is like so cool.